First, let's go to the home page. From the home page, we can create a new workspace right here. You can also go into the creation space, click New Project, and then select Workspace. Personally, I think the easiest way is just to create a new workspace directly from the home page. Today, we're going to learn how to go from a script all the way to a finished short film. Every film starts with a story, right? So the first thing we're going to do is open a script node from the toolbar at the top. It's right here. Today, we'll write a very simple story. Inside the script node, there are several audio options. There are really three modes here: no voice, voiceover, and dialogue. Dialogue is usually what you would use for narrative scenes with characters talking. Voiceover is typically used for explainers, documentaries, or anything driven by narration. And no voice is useful for something like a music video, where the visuals and music are doing most of the storytelling. Alright, let's take a closer look at this panel. First, we have style. When we open it, you can see there are a lot of different styles to choose from: cinematic, comic book, cyberpunk, 3D, and so on. The 3D option leans more toward that animated feature film look, something you might associate with a studio like Fox. We also have watercolor, clay, and a number of other styles. You can go through these and choose whichever one works for your project. And if you don't see the style you want here, you can also upload your own reference image. Just make sure the image has a very clear and recognizable visual style, so the system has something strong to work from. For today, let's start with a cinematic style. For live action, we also have several different looks. There's a cinematic look, a sci-fi look, and some retro styles. This retro martial arts style feels more like a classic Shaw Brothers martial arts movie, and this one has a completely different feel, something closer to a Wong Kar-wai style visual language. For example, we could choose this Wong Kar-wai inspired look. Today, let's create something around 30 seconds long. Let's say it takes place in, and here we can enter the basic idea for the story. Under additional details, we can write something like Hong Kong, 1956. It's raining on the streets. An injured man staggers down the street. We don't need to write a complete story here. Let's make it feel more like a movie trailer, because we only need a small amount of information. He desperately protects a cloth-wrapped package in his arms. Everyone around him looks at him with confusion and surprise. Finally, he collapses onto the rain-soaked street. Then a black vintage car pulls up beside him. A woman is sitting inside. The window slowly rolls down, and she looks at the unconscious man lying on the ground. Then we cut to titles, the name of the film and its release date. Alright, that's enough for now. Let's click Generate, and there we go. That part is done. See that? Let's quickly check and make sure there aren't any mistakes. Looks good. So what do we do next? Do you remember what comes after the script? We need to design our characters, right? So let's start with character design. I'll drag a connection out from here, select our main character, and generate. Then I'll pull out another connection. Personally, I like keeping my nodes organized, so I'm going to place these two characters neatly next to each other. If you look at the other elements here, we also have things like people on the street in the rain and street vendors. We don't need to design those individually. They're basically background extras. Now we're going to create our storyboard. Since we're making a live action film today, there's one important thing to remember. For live action projects, I strongly recommend choosing black and white sketch for the storyboard. See it here? Black and white sketch. Now we need to look at the timing. Our film is 30 seconds long, so the script has been divided into the first 15 seconds and the second 15 seconds. Let's select the first 15 seconds and generate the storyboard for that section. One important thing here. The character generation node is for generating characters. Do not connect your character generation node directly to the storyboard generation section. For the storyboard, just let the system generate the black and white storyboard frames on its own, like this. Once our characters have been generated, we need to open the asset library. The asset library is right here. We'll need it later, because when we generate the actual video, the system will pull our character references from the asset library. If we need to regenerate something here, that's fine. We can just generate it again. Now let's look at the first 15 seconds. You can see the story is divided into two sections, so we also need to generate the second storyboard section. How do we do that? Same process. And again, don't forget to choose black and white sketch. Then select the second section and click Generate. Next, let's open the asset library and choose Approved Assets. Here, we need to submit the character for approval. Click Select from Project, and first, let's choose the character named Sue Manling. Select her, then Continue. One thing to keep in mind, submitting a character for approval does not mean it will be approved 100% of the time. There's actually a note here explaining that. Sometimes a character may not pass the review. If that happens, just make a small adjustment to the character design, regenerate it, and submit it again. So we'll select her and submit. Next, this is our male lead. We'll do the same thing. Go to the approved asset library, click submit for approval, and select this male character from the project, Lin Xiaoting. Continue, select him, and submit. Now, if you want to use your own photo or someone else's photo as a character reference, we can do that too. Let me show you. For example, we can generate a new image and use this image as our first reference. If we want to create a character reference, I'll use my own photo here as an example. Upload the photo, connect it here, and now this becomes our reference image, right? Then click Generate. When you use your own image as a character reference, there's something important to remember. Ideally, you want to generate a character sheet like this with 3 different views, plus one larger close-up of the character's face. That gives the system a much stronger character reference and makes it easier to maintain consistency later. Make sense? Alright, now this becomes our character reference. Next, we're going to pull a video generation node directly from the storyboard node, right here, video generation. Then connect the asset library to the video generation node. See that? Inside video generation, we can choose Cadence 2.0 fast and set the duration to 15 seconds. Now let's double check that our characters are properly linked. Su Manling and Lin Xiaoting. Both are connected correctly. And here, we don't need to write the prompt ourselves. We just click Sync Script, and the system automatically brings all of the relevant information into this node. The second section works exactly the same way. This node will automatically carry over the settings we just used. Now look at the second section. Wait, I selected the wrong one here. This one should come from this section. The second video needs to use the second storyboard section. Alright, here's the second section. Then we connect everything the same way. And look, if I use my own image as the character reference, you can see that the character now uses my appearance. And the system also puts me into the wardrobe required by the story. Right? The clothing matches the costume design for the film. I'll delete this one for now. Now, what are the key things we need to remember inside video generation? First, choose Cadence 2.0 fast as the model. Then set the duration to 15 seconds. We don't need a reference video here. This is our approved asset library. See the label? It clearly says the asset has been approved. Then under characters, make sure everything is linked correctly. Su Manling is linked. Lin Xiaoting is linked. Now let's make sure audio is turned on. Then click Sync Script. Alright, the script is synced. Now everything is ready. Let's start generating. If you look at the entire process so far, you'll notice that we only wrote our creative prompt at the very beginning, in the initial story idea and the additional details section. Right? For everything else, Bloomway can automatically pull character information from the project. So when we create our character designs, we don't need to manually write another prompt from scratch. Of course, if you want to modify something, you absolutely can. The same applies here. You can always make adjustments if you want. Once the characters are generated, place them here. You don't need to connect them directly. Instead, open the asset library, go to Approved Assets, click Submit for approval, and upload the characters you want to use. Again, at the very beginning, the storyboard node came directly from the script node. There are 2 important things to remember here. First, choose black and white sketch. Second, after the script is divided into sections, choose the correct section. Section 1, Section 2, and so on. Same thing here. You can see that this node only has one connection. It's connected directly to the script node. Then we choose black and white sketch, select the second section from the script breakdown, and generate. Alright, now we just wait for everything to finish generating. Once everything is complete, what do we do next? Just like I showed you last time. Select the first clip, click here, rename it 1, and press enter. Then select the second clip, label it 2, and press enter. This lets us clearly identify which clip comes first and which comes second. Now we can click Render. At the moment, we only have 2 clips. But if you have a project with a lot more clips, as long as they're arranged in the correct order, you can click Auto Connect, and the system will automatically connect them for you. If you don't need detailed editing, you can simply click Render here. But if you do want to edit the video, there are a few different ways to do it. The first method is the most straightforward. Open the video editor here. That takes us directly into the video editing interface where we can edit the footage. For example, in this first section, this woman really shouldn't be here. So for this first clip, I would recommend regenerating it. There's also another way to edit. Look here. We have trim clip with an in point and an out point. For example, if there's a section of the generated video that we don't want, we don't necessarily need to regenerate the entire clip. We can simply trim that section here, right? Let's say we only want this much. Click Apply Trim, and the system creates a new trimmed clip. Let me show you. For example, maybe we only want the clip up to this point. You can trim it very precisely. Let's cut it right here. Alright, now the trim is complete. When you play the clip, it ends right here. There's nothing after that point because the rest of the clip has been removed. Now, earlier we saw that the system created a title called Rainy Night Package. I definitely don't like that title. So instead, we can generate a new end title card here. Let's choose 16:9. Then we'll create a cinematic end card. We can use a dark background, maybe a blurred image of a rainy Hong Kong street. Earlier, our story was set in 1956, so we could use something like 1956 Rainy Night. For the subtitle, we could use today's date, or maybe simply 2026, followed by coming soon. Alright, that works. Now let me show you how to create this. Notice that the character from earlier is no longer in this image. That brings up another important point. If a character you need isn't available in the current asset library node, you can absolutely use multiple asset library nodes. You can connect multiple asset library nodes to the same video generation node and use different character assets in the same video. Now let me show you what we need to do here. We need to turn this into a video. We don't want it to remain just a still image. So let's add another upload node. Right here, you can see 1956 Rainy Night. Looks good. I think this already works much better than the title we had before, right? And at the very end of the film, we want the image to fade to black. So the image upload node has another useful function. We can create a simple black frame. Once we have that black frame, we can connect it to the video generation node. The aspect ratio is 16:9. That's good, but we don't need this clip to be very long. 5 seconds is enough. The reference images are fine, so we connect them here. Then, under the prompt section, we can click the prompt assistant and let the system figure out how to transition between these two images. Let's see what it comes up with. The camera pulls back. We transition out of darkness. The text appears one element at a time. Organic motion. Okay, that works. See? That's actually pretty good. Now let's move this over a little. You can select everything together here. You can also multi-select. Then we label this one 3. Connect it again. Click Auto Connect, and the system automatically connects everything in order. Alright, this one has finished generating. Let's take a look. See? That works really well, right? Now everything is connected. Once the 3 clips are connected, we could technically render the film immediately. But because I made a few small adjustments here, I want to do a little editing first. We need to make sure the 3rd clip is included. If a clip doesn't connect properly for some reason, just delete that connection and reconnect it. That usually fixes it. Alright, now all 3 clips are here. Let's connect them. This is clip 3. Let's take a look. Now there's one more thing I want to show you here. For video, we can add a fade in. See that? The web version may lag a little bit sometimes, but at the end we can also add a fade out. See it? Fade in and fade out. You can apply fades to the video, and you can control the audio the same way. The audio can fade in here and then fade out at the end. That way, both the picture and the sound transition more smoothly between clips. We can do the same thing here. Both video and audio can have a little fade in and a little fade out. That makes the transitions feel much more natural. Alright? Then we can simply export the finished film. Let's take a look at the final result. See? Now the whole film flows very smoothly. And throughout this entire process, we never had to use CapCut at all. Alright? Now it's your turn to try it. Follow the same workflow I just demonstrated. From the script, to character design, storyboarding, the asset library, video generation, and finally editing and rendering, and create a complete short film of your own.